What up guys, Redshire here and welcome back to World of Tanks. I was working on the first set of E25 missions for the month of September today, and I had this game on Redshire in my T71. I wanted to make this video because I haven't done a decision-making video in a while, and also since this game is on Redshire, I wanted to show it so you guys can kind of get a feel for how the map used to play and progress. Unfortunately, I'm only kind of working on between the 5 and 0 lines during this particular game, and I wasn't able to get over to the 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. But you guys already know what that side of the map looks like, and I can't be in two places at once. So let's just get started here. And the first thing that we do starting a game is we look at the team compositions. Now we're bottom tier, we're very bottom tier. It's a tier 10 game, and there's roughly about a third each of tier 10, tier 9, and tier 8s, although there's a few more tier 9s than tier 10s and tier 8s. As far as tank classes are concerned, it's pretty even. They have a couple more mediums than we do, and their tank destroyers are a little bit higher tier than we are. But the most significant thing to note on both teams here is that there's 3 arty on their team and 2 on ours. Now, 2 arty isn't a lot for us, but when you get into the 3 arty and 4 arty range in games, how the map starts to play out is there aren't enough tanks on flanks to cover positions because artillery isn't a direct engagement vehicle. It's indirect fire. It's not actually sitting anywhere on the front line of the map, sealing off a location and forcing the enemy tank to engage that particular position. So what ends up happening is when you have games with a large amount of artillery, you have gaps in enemy lines, especially on large maps like Redshire or Khmelevsky, where there just isn't enough tanks on your team and on the enemy team to cover all the positions of the map. So this can be compensated for in organized play, like in strongholds or in clan wars, because everybody knows what the plan is. In pub matches, people kind of do their own thing, and people end up isolating themselves, and an entire flank might only have 1, 2, or 3 tanks on it. So what I need to be watching for during the early part of this battle is watching where the enemy team deploys, right? I do my part in spotting the area of the map that I'm on, but I also need to be watching where all the enemy tanks are that's spotted from the rest of my teammates as well. So I know where the gaps are, and I know where and when I can flank enemy positions. So let's just get started. So talking a little bit about the map here, the sniper hill over to my right will be gone in 9.10. They completely flattened it. And the river that runs from J1 there, you can see on the minimap, all the way up until B0, gets deviated about F6 and is sent straight south. So that sniper hill at K5, K6 will no longer be there in 9.10. Just moving up to a pretty standard bush here in F7, F8. This position is still here in 9.10 version of this map. However, because of the shift in the location of the ridge and the change in the position of some of the trees, it will be a lot harder to spot enemy tanks like this that are moving across that northern draw going up into the 9-0 lines. Just taking a few shots there at the Waffle 4 that our T-54 lightweight spotted for us, and I'm just trying to keep some vision here on the northern draw to see what tanks are coming into the 0 line. Also, in early portions of games like this, when you don't have a lot of opportunity to be active, what you can be doing while you're spotting for your team or waiting for certain positions to progress is doing quick counts, mini-map quick counts. Not only paying attention to the tanks that you're spotting, but paying attention to all the other tanks that your teammates are spotting on the mini-map. This way you know where all the enemy tanks are, and you know where the gaps are in the enemy defenses, and you know where and when to flank. So right now I don't want to be aggressive and push just yet. There's a decent amount of tanks on the enemy team that haven't been spotted yet, and I need to know where they are. I'm just trying to keep vision here on the opposing ridgeline in front of me and in the middle, and any more tanks that might be coming into the zero line from that northern drop. This Patton is in render range for us, so we take a couple shots at him. The render range is actually going to be changed here in a few patches. I think rumor has it in a few patches. It's been a square for a long time, and they're going to be shifting it from a 500 by 500 meter square into a circle. Our heavies are doing a pretty good job there, whittling down the enemy team and taking out their hit points. And I'll just pause the game here for a second. What I was waiting for in the before I made this flanking maneuver is I was waiting for a few more of the enemy tanks to get spotted, and specifically the Jagdpanzer E100. I didn't know where he was, and he could have been in Charlie 7 or in Charlie 8, or he could be somewhere in like Charlie 4 or Charlie 5 where the Waffle 4 is. In which case, this flanking maneuver along the inside bank of the river would expose me to fire from my left or from the north. So I need to know that I'll be relatively not exposed making this maneuver. I am in draw range of tanks on the 4 line, but I'm not spotted, and by the time I get spotted, I'll be around the edge of the bank where they can't shoot me. Also, you see here that our team has a really big overmatch on the tanks here on the zero line, and they've been doing a really good job whittling them down. But me, since I'm in a scout tank, I need to be helping push the tempo of the game, right? We're in a race against time. Whenever you have an overmatch on a certain flank, you're always in a race against time, because if you have an overmatch on one flank, it means that the enemy team have an overmatch on another flank, and you don't want to roll the dice and hope that the enemy team won't be aggressive. You need to take the advantage while you still have it, otherwise the enemy team will eventually kill out the inferior position of your team on another flank, and you will get surrounded from multiple directions in a pincer. So I just need to do what I can to incentivize my teammates to push. The E100 here is a one-shot, and the IS-8 is fairly low, so we need to start taking out targets quickly before our teammates in the southwest and on the 4 line there on the mini-map start to die. Now, I can't really pen the E100 or the MAS reliably, even with heat if I had it loaded, which I don't, so I'm going for the IS-8 here. He mistimes his shot, which gives me a little bit of extra time to make sure more of my shots pen. Unfortunately, a couple of my shots bounced there, and he's able to get a shot in on us that he might not have if 2 more of my shots had penned. But it doesn't matter, we get him killed, and the MAS, even though he was full health, gets surrounded by a huge overmatch of tanks from our team, and he dies really quickly. Now I'm going to pause the game again here. Once you win the zero line here on Redshire, and I think it will still play out somewhat like this in 9.10, you need to have tanks with good camo rating and good view range to spot Charlie 4 and Charlie 5. This happens a lot on Redshire, where once the 9-0 line is won from either direction, people don't know how to spot the next enemy position, in which case here from Charlie 4 and Charlie 5, without taking a significant amount of damage as they cross open ground. So it's your responsibility as a scout or in a medium tank or even in a heavy with good view range that you can go hold down on this ridge line to try and help spot Charlie 4 and 5 for your teammates so they can shoot those targets and force them off that ridge line from range. Otherwise, if you try to cross here in this mini-map all the way down this B line here and get to like C5, you'll take so much damage that the advantage that you got from winning the zero line will be lost. So one of the changes that they made in the 9.10 version of this map is, unfortunately, they removed a significant amount of these bushes here on this ridgeline, which means that it'll be a lot harder to spot this opposing sniper hill from stealth. You'll probably have to be doing active spotting, which in case you'll be a lot more vulnerable to fire from E4 here and from artillery back here in A1, A2, A3. But enough of that, let's just keep going. So I move up to this bush here, trying to spot those tank destroyers that we know were spotted there earlier in the game. And you see there's another bush in front of me that's blocking my line of sight. So I don't want to move up to that bush because I would be committing myself too much, and if I get spotted, I wouldn't be able to get back in cover in time. So I move up to this bush here and we spot the Waffle 4. Now you might be wondering why in the world I'm not getting spotted shooting this Waffle. Well, he's just far enough behind the building where his viewpoint or his spotting point on his tank is actually covered by the edge of the building. So I was able to shoot his turret without him spotting me. We'll just pause the game here again. What you need to be looking for constantly in any battle, in any situation that is going on, whether you're down a few tanks or up a few tanks, or even if you're up a lot of tanks or down a lot of tanks, you need to be constantly looking for the best scenario of engagement, and specifically looking for isolated targets. And what I mean by isolated targets, targets that aren't able to be supported by their teammates. And the main way you figure this one out is basically physical lines of cover, right? Ridge lines, rocks, buildings, where if they get rushed, their teammates won't be able to get back to them in time to help them. Now, what I'm looking for here is they have two mediums here in Bravo 4 and Charlie 4. But their Jagdtiger here in D4 is isolated. The Jagdpanzer E100 here that's been on the one line is still on the one line here down in F1. And the rest of their team are artillery, and we know that since we are all the way up here in A8, we know that the rest of their artillery are in A1, A2, and A3. You might be looking at this and saying, well, look how close that Jagdtiger is to these mediums. He's not isolated. Yeah, he may be close to these guys in distance, but he's isolated because of this ridge line here. He's further to the west here, and he's up over the ridge line where he's out of direct line of fire from these mediums. Now he could reverse a little bit and get into range for his teammates to help him, but as it stands now, he is isolated. So I want to push him and flank him, especially since he's a tank destroyer without a turret, and he won't be able to traverse with me if I get around to his side. Now, I'm actually wanting to go around the right side of this rock, but unfortunately what the Jagdtiger does is he's coming back to help his mediums defend cap, and he forces me to come around the left side of the rock, which forces me to go out really wide and high, and I'm shot from one of the mediums down there. I think it was the E50. So unfortunately I do get shot there, but I make the Jagdtiger turn. He isn't able to use his armor against my teammates on the 8 line, and we take him out really quickly. Now I move back up here using this rock for safety from direct fire from the mediums below me and to my right, and also from being spotted. I won't be spotted unless they come within proximity range of me, or if they come around the rock. Now, just using a little bit of psychology here, you can do this in any tank, but especially in fast mobile tanks like scouts or mediums. Pretend you're going one way and just count to 5 seconds or so from the moment that you knew you were stopped being spotted, and then go back the other way. I don't have a very good shot on this Su-14. I just have a tiny sliver of the top of his tank on the ridgeline there. I'm going for the soft target and the low health target to take out his gun from the fight. Even though we know we're probably going to win, it's always good to keep practicing those good habits so you are able to do them in high pressure situations. And we kill secure, or like a pro, basically stole that kill, but hey, the tank needed to be killed. Now I know that my team are probably going to kill this guy before I reload, so I just try to rush in and get some ramming damage. The Su-14-2 is a really heavy artillery piece, and you really don't want to be ramming it if the game is on the line in anything less than either a heavy medium or a heavy tank. But I rushed in, I played for the lulz, and got a little bit of ramming damage. Remembering to play the game for fun is important, I think, otherwise you'll just drive yourself crazy. So I played for the lulz there and got a little bit more damage. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video featuring this Redshire map in the 9.10 version before it gets changed when 9.10 patch is released, so you get a little bit of idea of how the 890 lines used to be played, and so you can compare the meta as it changes. Hope you guys have the best of luck out there doing your September missions for your E25 if you're working on them. Good luck hunting out there on the battlefield, and take care.